Hey, here we go with a new reading. It's chapter 4, reading 7. It's called My Brother and the Bird. Now, remember when we were doing the read alouds together as a group? We stopped it often. We stopped the video often to think about what we knew and wonder, and that worked so well for us. Remember that? So you might want to do this. The last thing you want to do is get to the end of the reading and you don't know anything, and then you write nothing, and that doesn't work. So make sure you do that. Some people, type or write their summary as they listen to it. That works too. So whatever works for you is awesome. Just make sure you pick something that works. Listening is so important. I mean, you have to just be actively thinking when you listen, or it just goes right past your head and is gone forever. So here we are. We live near Central Park. On nice days, I like to play there after school. I'm allowed to walk over by myself as long as I'm going to be with friends. My mother doesn't want me hanging around the park alone. For one thing, Jimmy Fargo has been mugged 3 times, twice for his bicycle and once for his money. Once he didn't even have anything to give the muggers. I've never been mugged, but sooner or later I probably will be. My father told me what to do. Give the muggers whatever they want and try not to get hit on the head. Sometimes after you're mugged, you get to go to the police headquarters. You look at a bunch of pictures of crooks to see if you can recognize the guys that mugged you. I think it would be neat to look at all those pictures. It's not that I want to get mugged, but because it could be really scary. It's just that Jimmy Fargo's always talking about his visit to the police headquarters. My father got mugged once in a subway by 2 girls and a guy. They took his wallet and his briefcase. He still travels around in the subways, but my mother doesn't. She sticks to buses and taxis. Both my mother and father are always warning me to never talk to strangers in the park because a lot of dope pushers hang around there. But taking dope is even dumber than smoking, so nobody's ever going to hook me. We live on the west side of the park. If I want to get to the zoo and the pony carts, I have to walk all the way to the east side. Sometimes my mother walks across the park with Fudge. He likes the animals a lot, especially the monkeys. He likes the helium-filled balloons, but as soon as my mother buys him one, he lets it go. I think he likes to see it float up into the sky. My mother says that's a waste of money, and she's not going to buy him any more balloons until he promises not to let go. On Sundays, the park is closed to traffic, and you can ride your bicycle all over without worrying about being run down by some crazy driver. Even Fudge can ride. He has a little blue toddle bike, a present from his father's client. And when he's riding, he makes motorcycle noises. Vroom, 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 he yells. In the fall, the leaves turn darker and drop off the trees, and sometimes there are big leaf piles on the ground, and it's fun to jump around them. I never saw bright red, yellow, or orange leaves until the day my father took me to a drive in the country. The reason the leaves don't turn bright colors in New York is the air pollution, and that's too bad because yellow and orange and red leaves look really neat. One nice sunny afternoon, I called for Jimmy Fargo, and he went to the park. Jimmy's the only kid on my block who's in my class at school, unless you count Sheila. And I don't. She lives in my building on the 10th floor. Henry, the elevator operating, is always making jokes about me and Sheila. He thinks we like each other. The truth is, I can't stand her. And she's a real know-it-all. I've discovered that most girls are. The worst thing about Sheila is the way she's always trying to touch me. And when she does, she yells, "Peter's got cooties! Peter's got cooties!" I don't believe in cooties anymore. And when I was in 2nd grade, I used to examine myself to see if I had them. But I never found any. And by 4th grade, most kids gave up on cooties. But not Sheila. She's still going strong. So I keep a safe distance from her. My mother thinks Sheila's the greatest. She's so smart, my mother says, and someday she's going to be a real beauty. Now that's the funniest, because Sheila looks a lot like the monkeys that Fudgy's so crazy about. So maybe She'll look beautiful to some ape, but never to me. Me and Jimmy have this special group of rocks where we like to play when we're in the park. We play secret agent up there. Jimmy can imitate all the kinds of foreign accents, probably because his father's a part-time actor. And when he's not acting, he's teaching a class at the city college. And today, when we got to our rocks, who should be perched up there but Sheila. She was pretending to be reading a book, but I think she was just waiting for me and Jimmy to find out what we'd do when we found her in our own personal rocks. Hey, Sheila, I said, those are our rocks. Says who? She asked. Come on, Sheila, Jimmy says, climbing up. You know me and Peter hang out here. Too bad for you, Sheila says. Oh, Sheila, I shouted, go find yourself another rock. I like this one, she said, as if she owned the park. So why don't you go find another rock? And just then, who should come tearing down the path but Fudge? My mother was right behind him, hollering, Fudgy, wait for Mommy. But when Fudge gets going, he doesn't wait for anybody. He was after some pigeons. Birdie, here, Birdie, he called. That brother of mine loves birds, but he can't get it through his head that the birds aren't about to let him catch them. Hi, Mom, I said. My mom stopped running. Peter, am I glad to see you? I can't keep up with Fudge. Mrs. Hatcher, Sheila called, scrambling down from our rock. I'll watch Fudgy for you. I'll take very good care of him. Can I, Mrs. Hatcher? Oh, please. Sheila jumped up and down and begged some more. Jimmy gave me an elbow in the ribs. He thought that my mother would let Sheila watch Fudge and we'd be rid of her. We'd be free to play secret agent. But Jimmy doesn't know that my mother would never trust Sheila to watch her dear little boy. Fudge, in the meantime, was screaming, Come back, birdies, come back to Fudgy. And then my mother did a strange thing. She checked her watch and said, You know, I do have to run back to the apartment. I forgot to turn on the oven. Do you really think you could keep an eye on Fudge for just 10 minutes? Of course I can, Mrs. Hatcher, Sheila said. I know all about babysitting from my sister. Sheila's sister Libby is in 7th grade. She's about as beautiful as Sheila. The only difference is she's bigger. My mother hesitated. I don't know, she said. I've never left Fudgy alone before. She looked at me. Peter? What? Will you and Jimmy help Sheila watch Fudge while I run home for a minute? Okay, Mom. Do we have to? Or no, it was, oh, Mom, do we have to? Please, Peter, I'll be right back. I'll feel better if all 3 of you are watching him. What do you say? I asked Jimmy. Sure, he answered. Why not? So that's the end of today's reading. So make sure you go to the Google Doc, fill it in with your summary and your questions, predictions, feelings, and thoughts. And if you don't know anything, well, make sure you read it again and then stop the video often so that you do know something. So see you later.